Hey, welcome to Integrated Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. Well, life continues to be interesting, doesn't it? Before we get into the main course here, I should say I just put up over on Patreon a a video. I'm calling it uh, I don't know what I called it, introduction or beginning handgun or something like that. I'm starting tomorrow to train some new people on handguns. I haven't done that for quite a while, and it's not a normal part of my business, and it's not going to become a normal part of my business. But with the changing situation, a lot of people, of course, are being concerned. It's good to see. I'm sorry that they came a little bit late to the dance, but better late than never. Um, and so some of these people, it'll be the first time that they've ever owned a gun. They're going to be bringing new guns to this, and I don't mind that a bit. I like teaching new people, and I kind of explain that over on the Patreon video. But that for any of you who have a an interest in that kind of thing, uh, it's over there, and the link is down below. So back to the other touching bases. Yeah, the market was down over 900 again yesterday, just like I said it was going to be. So it's continuing to go down. The medical delivery, healthcare delivery system is continuing to um, fight its way through its confusion. We'll see how that goes. I was just over my across the cul-de-sac neighbor asked if he could buy or not buy but borrow one of my ladders. So I took it over to him, chatted with him for a minute, and he's in the healthcare field. He's an administrator in surgical centers, things like that. And he said that they laid off 50 people yesterday. They, of course, are hoping that it will be temporary. There's no telling about that. I think that some people, just like some people, are thinking, doom and gloom and just trying to find the very worst in this stuff. Others are still seeing it through rose-colored glasses, and I think the truth is somewhere in between. But anyway, I did go out today and made a few rounds. Got up spanking early. It's Saturday, and I like to sleep in a little bit on Saturday, but our new our grocery store down here has new hours, and they open an hour early for seniors, which I am, so I could sneak in there and kind of see what was going on. Right? I didn't get anything, didn't need anything, but but I went down there so I could see what was going on because I mean, this is my business. I don't want to rely on what other people tell me. I want to see it, and make my own determinations. And there's things when you're in the situation, you learn more than if you just read about it or hear about it. And I am starting a new book on this situation. We'll see how it turns out. Um, my primary focus, of course, is on the upcoming Stonemont series book, Blessings of Freedom, which I worked on today. But this situation we're in now presents an interesting circumstance that I think would make a good book, and so I'm kind of starting on that right now. Probably take a year or so to write that one in the middle of my other projects. But I wanted to get a sense, a personal sense, on the ground of what was going on. So I went to this. I got there about 10 minutes till 7 o'clock, and the parking lot was full. They weren't letting anybody in yet. A guard was at the door, and there was a line of folks out into the parking lot just anxious to get in. And so I waited there and I watched them. And as they opened the doors, I wandered in and just kind of wandered around, kept my eye on people. I kept 6 feet between me and the others. I didn't touch anything that they touched. Um, but people are acting differently. Um, I didn't hear as many of excuse me's as you usually do. This is a fairly polite area, and they were in a hurry. People were very focused, very in a hurry. They were going faster. They were clogging up aisles. This is not the normal um, atmosphere for this store. I went from there over to an Aldi store across the street, and it was pretty much the same thing. I mean, they were out of. I don't really remember. Yeah, the Hy-Vee. It was out of all the stuff that they have been out of. Toilet paper and rice and beans and half their canned goods. It looks like. Well, I was never in Russia, but it looks like pictures of Russia that you think of. It was very different. When you think, is this America? You kind of sit back and go, well, this is a new one, right? So over at Aldi, as soon as they opened those doors, and I got there before the doors were open, so I could kind of stand around and listen to the crowd and watch the crowd. They weren't as chatty as usual. Around here, people tend to talk to each other and chat, and they weren't. They were all kind of in their solitary little cocoons, just waiting for that door to open. And when it opened, the guy walked out and said, "Folks, just to let you know, we've only got 3 rolls of toilet paper. So if you're here for that, you're out of luck." Well, apparently they needed other things, or they didn't need toilet paper because everybody went in. This was first thing in the morning. They had no milk, no eggs, of course, no toilet paper. They were out of flour, they were just out of a lot of stuff. And this is the time of day that you would think that they would be fully stocked. So that shows you that the delivery system is having some problems. From there, I went over to Sam's Club, and the parking lot was jam-packed. And I got out, and I got about halfway up to the door, and I saw that they were holding people at the door. And there was a line stretched clear across the parking lot, probably a couple hundred people waiting to get in. I mean, they were letting people in, but and had been obviously for some time because people were coming out with carts already. But they were controlling how many people could be in there at one time, apparently. So, and in both of all those situations, people are mentally isolating themselves. Yeah, they're not talking to each other. I didn't see, I'm a polite person. I nod and smile, and usually I get a bunch back, and I didn't get many back today. So that's the developing situation in our new world, from my perspective. Okay. The most important thing, your most important weapon in this and any other situation, is a healthy lifestyle. That's the point of this. As I talk to more and more people, I realize that just adopting a healthy lifestyle is a major change in their lifestyle. And I know I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, I was in the fitness business for a long time. Well, a long time ago. I think I've mentioned I owned a gym, and I've been involved in the physical activities all my life, from sports to martial arts to this and that and the other thing. And so I've always been cognizant and have always lived a fairly, healthy lifestyle. There was a couple of times there that I let myself go, but I yanked myself back into line because this is just not good. There's no reason in our society except for laziness and self-centeredness. And sorry if that hurts some feelings, but that's just the way it is, for anybody to live an unhealthy lifestyle. I mean, we have the best food available to us. We have, we're not out there working in coal mines. We have the best medical care available to us. Anybody who's not, tip top in peak physical condition, it's their own fault. And so this kind of got me thinking. Kelly is also, she's very cognizant and knowledgeable. It's early about dietary guidelines and things like that. So, and so when I talk to people, I'm often surprised at how ignorant is a hard word, but it describes it, because it doesn't mean dumb. It just means don't have the information. Okay. And so I don't mean it harshly. I mean it in its true sense, that people don't know what they should do. they have a lot of information coming in at them. They read a lot of books. Lord knows, books and magazines about diets this and diet that, and drop 20 pounds by Thanksgiving, and now drop another 15 before Easter, and somehow those pounds never get dropped, right? Or if they came off by Thanksgiving, they're back on and need to be taken off the same pounds by Easter. Okay, that's not a healthy lifestyle. That is a lifestyle that's out of control. And when you aren't leading a healthy lifestyle, you are damaging your most important resource on this earth anyway, and your most important weapon, and that is you, your body and your mind. Because an unhealthy lifestyle will affect your mind. It'll affect it deeply, both mentally and emotionally. And if you've let that get out of whack, shame on you, right? Bad, bad, bad. You need to get it back centered. Years ago, when I had my gym, I would and my gym was famous for having just insane workouts that cranked out people that were in the kind of shape I couldn't even describe. You wouldn't believe it if I told you. It's just what we did. It was just why I was interested, and so that's what we did. And I had some phenomenal people that I trained and who worked for me, and they loved it too. So we became known for that. When a lot of people would come in, having come from other places, and ask us, how in the world do you get in this kind of shape? So we'd tell them a little bit, and it wasn't difficult, it was difficult. It wasn't simple. I mean, it was simple. It was not complicated. That's the word I'm searching for. And I would have people come in and ask me, well, how do I lose weight? Okay. And I first explain, well, it's not the weight that you want to lose, it's the fat. And I'd go on into the whole thing, muscle weighs more than fat. And as you develop more muscle, you're going to develop the engine that burns the fat, which is nothing more than stored fuel that you haven't used yet. Blah, 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 blah. I'd talk to them for about 3 minutes. And I'd tell them everything that they needed to know. And they'd just look at me and they'd say, you ought to write a book. And I would say, well, I've just told you everything you need to know, which is stop eating so much, exercise more, and eat the right kind of stuff and get the right kind of exercise, and you're going to be fine. I've told you everything. I can't make that into a book. Well, no, but you ought to write that down. I said, well, there's no way I can I just told you. It took me 3 minutes to tell you everything that you need to know. Okay. Well, finally I broke down and I wrote a little book. It's not a book. It's a pamphlet. I don't even remember how many pages it is. I'm thinking about just finding the manuscript and doing it up again and selling it, on Amazon for 99 cents or something. It was called Winning the War on Fat. And it was just the very simple way to do it. But do you know how many of those people actually took my advice? You know how many, right? Very few. Because it's easier to complain. It's easier to feel as if you're special, that somehow the thing that works on everyone else in the world just couldn't possibly work on you, right? Because you're you. And so, you're going to go over and read this other thing, and what does Oprah have to say about it? And all these things, and they just wouldn't do what it took. A lot of people, they would argue with. I mean, I would have just heavy people argue with me, not seeing how ridiculous that was. That they being overweight, unless they had a medical problem. If you have a medical problem that predisposes you to being overweight, I'm not talking to you. Okay. But I even have good friends who are overweight for no medical problem, and I'll tell you what, there's no excuse. And it's, I'm not going to give them a break on that, because, they could do what the rest of us did if they just didn't want to sit down and eat all the time and not get up and put in the work that really the human body needs to be doing. God made your body to go out and do things and work and accomplish things. He didn't make it to sit around and watch other people do things on a television set or in a stadium or whatever. He meant you to live your life, not watch other people living theirs or playing a game, right? But a lot of people would argue with me. Well, I'm busy all the time, and that's another problem. You think that you're active because you're busy. Busy is different than active. Okay. Diet, exercise, sleep. If there's one thing that too many people in this world lack, it's proper sleep and a proper sleep pattern. Somehow we've gotten to the point to where we hold up our lack of sleep, or I don't, but I love my sleep. But people hold up this lack of sleep as a badge of honor. Oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I'll do this. Blah blah blah. And they'll look at people like the president and some other people, or they've gone through a program, to where sleep deprivation was one of the main parts of it. And that's fine, but the human body wasn't meant to live like that for a long period of time. Studies have shown recently that there are some physiological reasons that some people require less sleep than others. But if you are just normal and need 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, and you're trying to get by on 5 or 6 even, you're not running at your maximal performance. Okay, you're not doing the best, and a lack of sleep is one of the precursors to being over fat. I don't say overweight, over fat. Because nobody's overweight, they're over fat. So sleep is another thing. Your diet, including the basic nutrients of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, water. Okay. Those things, and I'm not going to argue with people about their particular favorite pet diet here. Those are just the things that the body runs on and needs. Following a proper diet is extremely important, and if you're giving it too much of one thing and not enough of something else that it needs, it's not going to run the way you want to. Quality of life, friendships, a dedication to purpose, understanding what you're here for and what you're supposed to be about. And for those of you like me who have a faith base, a bedrock relationship with our Creator. So be able to see the truth of things, be able to work hard, be able to relax properly, eat right, drink the water, make sure that you're doing those things you should be doing, and knock off the things that you shouldn't be doing. You're going to be healthier, and you're going to be able to handle every situation a lot better, and the stress that's associated with those situations, whether it's daily life or whether it's what we're going through right now. So anyway, that's my little spiel for today. Just like you were standing in front of my counter at my gym and asked me a question, which I know you didn't, but figured I'd answer it anyway. Okay? So anyway, you all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well in order to live well tomorrow. And a lot of that is taking care of our minds and our bodies. So do it, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.